home sales on pace for slowest year since the housing bust. We've got BlackRock tweaking their treasury strategy. We've got the treasuries, the 10-year yield, which is the benchmark yield of the world, which we've talked about a lot here over time, trying to bump up to that 5% mark. It's at 4.922 right now currently. And we have everybody's favorite, the 60-40 portfolio, the time-tested, really for only the last 40 years, time-tested investing strategy, just had its worst year in generations. So welcome to an action-packed 5 minutes. We're trying to keep it somewhat short today, actually, but we got articles talking about this, and we got interviews of people saying, "Well, I invested in this strategy, and it was so, it was what they said to do, and now I look at my portfolio, and it's like, oh crap." You think taking mainstream financial advice is truly the right thing to do for yourself? Let's say that again, slower. Do you think taking mainstream financial advice is the smartest thing for your saved up time and energy? Said a different way. Do you think taking mainstream financial news is the best strategy for finding out truth in your life? We can keep going with this. We could keep going. Do you think government-run schools are going to tell you the truth or teach your children what you need to know or what they need to know about society, about truth, about common sense, about critical thinking, about actual communication or compassion or empathy? Really, truly, how is that working out for us the last few decades? These are questions we probably should be asking ourselves, kind of like the 60-40 portfolio. Why are people continuing to... You know what? Another one, too. We're going to bring this up as well. I wrote an article a year ago. Just in our description at the bottom, the Substack. Go check that out. Our blog from a year ago, I think it was last August. And I'll link to it in here, actually. Talking about the 401k and Social Security. And how you can fix those potentially with a 1% allocation in something you might have heard called Bitcoin. Now, since that time, Bitcoin's probably up 50 to 100%. In that time I wrote the article. There's going to be less and less Bitcoin over time. This is not a Bitcoin thing, but again, you have to do something different. You have to. The thinking that got you into this is not going to be the thinking that gets you or us or me out of this. And I think that's the most important thing here. Having financial literacy and understanding what's happening is of the utmost importance, so we're not trapped in stuff like this. So we have yields spiking through the roof and things really on the brink of collapse, and banks already collapsing here, and more to come. Sri Lanka, the country collapsed. We're going to have more countries collapse. We're going to have more banks collapse. These things will happen. We're going to have more unrest in the streets. We're going to have more homeless. These things are going to happen. I've said this for a long time as well. People that have been here for a long time know I've said there's more unrest coming. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Unbelievably hopeful 5, 10, 15 years from now. It's going to be unbelievable abundance, deflation, Bitcoin capturing deflation and making everything cheaper in life and a higher standard of living, opposite of the inflationary world we live in now with the fiat debt-based system. Completely opposite. But we choose as humans to continue going down this road thinking, you know what, I'm going to keep doing the same thing. The same thing has got us there. I'm going to wake up and do it tomorrow, guys. I'm going to use the dollar again. I'm going to use fiat currencies that steal from me every day, that are inflationary, and make my life standard go down and make costs go up. I'm just going to keep doing that every day. I'm going to keep doing that. Doesn't seem like a good thing, does it? It seems like insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Yet we continue doing it. But if you measure your life in Bitcoin, things get cheaper for you over time. Why, you ask, Brandon? Why? Because Bitcoin is rare. It's hard to make. You can't just spin it up out of thin air. You can't just print it up, type it up. You have to actually provide work, energy. You have to mine it, provide energy, or you have to trade a good or a service for it, something of value to actually get it. Nothing else in the world is like it. Nothing else is as finite as Bitcoin as there is your time. It's the only trade to make for each other. Bitcoin is time and time is Bitcoin. We've talked about that a lot over time as well. Everything else has some type of inflation rate to it, even gold and silver, even precious metals, even resources and commodities, right? We can all find more of it. And when the price goes up, it incentivizes more people to go find more of it. You can't do that with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is inelastic. That's why it'll get rare over time, and its price will continue to go up. It'll take more and more dollars. We know the debt just hit 33 trillion a few weeks ago, and now it just hit 33.5 trillion. We know the dollar will continue to lose its value It's lost 99% over the last 110 years. It'll continue to lose value. It'll lose another 99%, probably the next 5 to 15 years. People argue with that all the time, but this speeds up. And we know, guaranteed, that that's going to happen. So we know Bitcoin, the inverse, will happen. It'll take more and more of these dollars because there's more and more of them. It'll take more of those dollars because they're more abundant in the universe to buy a rare Bitcoin, which there's only 21 million of. There'll only ever be 21 million. So, what are we going to do? Are we going to continue doing the same thing? BlackRock tweaking their treasury strategy. It's probably a good thing to look at your financial strategy in general to see what is actually happening, what's going on. Home sales, again, on the slowest, again, rising interest rates, the slowest, lending standards tightening as well. So it's created a slowdown in the real estate market. Treasury is being affected. The 60-40 portfolio being affected. And I'll wrap with this. The thing I was saying, I'll link to this. These are 2 great articles and videos. I'll link to them here. Go check them out. Go check them. And they talk about the one is a 401k. And talking about how the 401k was literally created 50 years ago. 50 years ago. And the median, and again, I haven't looked at this in a while, and I'll link to them. The trust but verify. The median 401k balance, I believe, is like $33,000 or like $30,000, and the average I think is $130 or something like that. The median, 50 years of saving, and that's all people have to show for it. How is someone going to live off of 30 grand, or 100 grand, or 130 grand? The average is pulled way up because of high earners. So the median, the person in the middle, has 30 grand, 33 grand, or whatever it is. 50 years. And then you have Elizabeth Warren over here, again, months ago, is when I wrote it last year, attacking Bitcoin, saying, Fidelity, how could you imagine putting Bitcoin in here, blah, 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 when we know this thing is going bankrupt. Social Security is going bankrupt. Hello? The dollar is going to die. Social Security is going bankrupt. Medicare, these things are all going bankrupt. 120, 140 trillion dollars these entitlements cost off balance sheet. This doesn't include the 33 trillion we have on the balance sheet everyone looks at. Off balance sheet, we have 150 trillion, somewhere in there, 160, it might be 160 total, plus our 33 trillion or so. So we have 200 trillion, as Greg Foss always says, in total debt. 200 trillion. 200 trillion. Where do we think this is going? Do we think we can keep kicking this can down? I mean, really, as a human being, step back. Think about what we're talking about. Do we really think that that's going to resolve itself? That we're going to be in the same system 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Really? Really? Because I don't. Let's be frank. I don't. And especially when you combine that with trends, technology, AI, and the younger generations coming. And they've seen all this happen, they've seen all this play out, and they are going to be taking over in the next 10 to 20 years all these positions of power in politics, academia, in corporations. They're going to be taking over everything, and they're going to change everything. So it's time to see the winds of change now. Get ahead of the curve, front run it. Again, I'm a big believer in Bitcoin, right? We look at our portfolio allocation ladder, 30% plus of my portfolio is Bitcoin. And that will continue to probably become 99+% of my portfolio over the next 5 or 10 years as it continues gaining in value. But it's because the dollar is dying. But it will buy more and more things. And we've shown these graphs many times. Go to priced in Bitcoin 21. Again, I don't want everything to come back to Bitcoin. I get a lot of heat. I get a lot of people like, everything comes back to Bitcoin and try to argue. Guys, I've been there. For the last 12 years, I've studied this. I've owned businesses. I've been an investor. I've invested in all different markets and private markets, raised my own money, raising capital, just regular business, goods and services and commodities. I've done these things. I studied gold and silver. I was a gold and silver guy. I was there. My studies, my experience, and my knowledge has led me to seeing Bitcoin finally. It took me years to really understand Bitcoin and finally submit and humble myself to that and say, wow, Bitcoin is the only thing that's going to heal this divide of politics, polarization, division, and hate. It's going to heal this world of malinvestment and fiat and Wall Street. You think a Bitcoiner, someone who the value of Bitcoin continues going up over time, you think someone's going to give that away for financial advice or diversification? Okay, yeah, I'm going to give my hard-earned Bitcoin that goes up in value, and I have to provide actual value to get more of it. I'm going to go trade that for financial advice or diversification out of the best asset ever to exist. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Anyway, I appreciate you more than you know. Question Everything Bulls. Please, please, please share this out. Share this out. Question Everything Boldness. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. The algorithm hates truth, so we have to share this out and overwhelm the system. Trust but verify. Trust what I'm saying, but verify these things. We got a lot of crazy things going on. Different thinking has to take place in order to fix the problems. I appreciate you more than you know. Again, Question Everything Boldness. Trust but verify. I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk. It's not financial advice. It is freedom advice. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.